Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. We are waking up with watches this weekend. Let's get started with the U.S. Market Special Edition from Grand Seiko, launched in 2022. This is the high-beat GMT SBGJ259. 40 millimeters in stainless steel in the 44GS case shape. This is the Urban Bamboo, and you can see it does have the aesthetic of bamboo shoots on its dial. It also has the green verdure of summer, so as we are entering the summer season, this is the perfect watch for the occasion. Now you can see right here, it is an all-rounder. I wouldn't describe it as a dress watch or a sports watch. It is a watch you can wear just about all the time. We've got a single fold deploying clasp. You can see the movement in there. 55 hours of power reserve, automatic winding, 10 beats per second, just like a Zenith El Primero, with a GMT complication, 100 meters water resistant with a screw-down crown, Zaratsu tin plate, hand-finished case, mirror polished on all of its polished facets, with the complexity of the 1967 to present 44GS polyhedron case. Grand Seiko cases are hand-finished, and Grand Seiko dials are handmade, with the highlight often being the quality of the dial furniture, logos, date frames, hands, and indices. You can see not just assembled and caulked by hand, these individual parts are finished by hand to create the sharp razor-like polished blades of the hands or the satin surfaces of the hands and the indices. Taking a quick look on my wrist, the watch wears well. It's just over 46 millimeters lug to lug, so this is a versatile watch. My wrist is 16 centimeters in circumference, and this is a perfect fit. A handmade watch for well under $10,000. This is a timepiece that represents a lot more hand craftsmanship than you'll get for comparable money from the Swiss. Of course, made proudly in Japan. This represents the finest of both craft arts in Japan, as well as the cultural tropes of Japan. That's often a quality of Grand Seiko dials, and this is one of the best. Again, two different time zones, one local in 12-hour format. One is your reference time in 24-hour format. This watch has both, with a smooth sweeping seconds hand, a consequence of the 36,000 vibration per hour beat rate. Now we're sticking with our summer theme, and we've got one from Lange und Sohne. This is the Odysseus, long awaited, a regular production stainless steel Lange watch, and of course a sports watch. The dial featuring a datomatic style display, a combination of day and date, inspired by the Semper Opera House's 5-minute clock, which also inspired the Zeitwerk digital time display. We have little crown shoulders that double as the pusher selectors for the calendar system. We have lovely raised and polished individual hour indices. We have a track outboard against which you can read the minutes, and notice we have a little red 60 up at the top, a historic piece on German fine watches. No shortage of luminescence. This is a sports watch. It's 120 meters water resistant, automatic winding steel, and there is plenty of lume. It's a fairly thin watch, 40.5 millimeters in diameter. You can see when viewed in profile, it is quite slender. It has an interlock of bracelet and lug that's fairly seamless. It isn't quite a Nautilus style, fully integrated look, but that also allows it to be more Lange than Patek Philippe, which is a good thing. Its brand identity is strong. Taking a quick look, we have every removable link in the bracelet sizable from top to bottom. And so you have a lot of adjustment by removing and adding links. Then you also have this well-traveled Brogioli push-button incremental adjustment system, where you have a little rack and a lock in several different stops. The bracelet is beautifully finished. You can see the little polished hollows on the shoulders of all the links with the same quality of finish across the case. The movement is based on the L086, this is the 155. Some changes here, including the use of a full balance bridge rather than a single-sided balance cock to make it more shock tolerant. This is also the first Lange with a 4 hertz beat rate, the higher beat rate giving it, again, better ability to cope with shocks and violent motion on the wrist. You can see 120 meters water resistant. It's got a 50-hour power reserve, German silver bridges and plates. You can see a platinum mass fixed by blued screws for the winding rotor. A watch that delivers on every count. Although it is a sizable piece by Lange standards, it is not particularly large by sports watch standards. Wearing fairly low, as most Lange watches do, it'll slide underneath the cuff, so it has an element of versatility to it. Now, let's say you want something that is even sportier. Well, we've put this Bethune DB25 Starry Varius on a deluxe strap and matching clasp. Now, this feels almost like the Hermes leather straps that you get on Parmigiani watches. It is incredibly soft and buttery smooth. A wonderful experience. It'll fit on the wrist like a second skin. You can see it's been pre-scored so that it can be cut to length. We will make sure we do that for you. We have a titanium leaf spring style deployant clasp. This is the GMT Chatelain design that you'll find on many, from Richard Mille to MB&F, so it is equal to the occasion here. Bethune making case, bracelet, or I should say case, in this case, not so much the bracelet, but case and dial and movement, including hands and balance wheels. Fully integrated manufacture. This is the DB25 Starry Varius, grade 5 titanium, 42 millimeters in diameter, about 49 millimeters lug to lug, and 10.2 millimeters thick. The dial is polished, mirrored grade 5 tie that's fired to get the blue tone. And then you have the star scatter pattern that was visible in the sky over L'Auberson on the night in 2002 when Bethune was founded. And you can see the distant stars or celestial bodies. Those are gold leaf. The near ones, you can see it better when you turn the watch. They're actually three-dimensional dowels of gold inserted into drillings in the dial. We have lovely polished rose gold Breguet style hands, rose gold cabochon hour indices. All the printing is blue on silver, radially arrayed Roman numerals. You can see we have a toroidal hour track, and then on the back we have a caliber that is basically what you get on the front of a DB28. Now, the DB25 is not the entry-level line at Bethune. People make that mistake. It is the most conservative and traditional line, so fixed lugs, round case, solid dial. But the DB27 is the entry level. This is all the DB28 tech without the DB28 avant-garde. And a lot of people coming from Swiss Holy Trinity, Lange, Moser, Journe, more conventional low-volume luxury brands, they're going to find this a lot more approachable. But you still get the 6-day power reserve, the patented twin self-adjusting barrels that cannot be overwound, a no-compromise standard of finish. You can see it from the bevels on the edge of the bridges to the micro bevels on the ratchet wheel, the solarization on the barrel covers, a balance bridge that Grubel Forsey style is rounded all the way around and black polished with fired flanking springs for the triple parachute system, a patented triple shock protection, 1, 2, 3, that is there both for durability and for chronometry. We have Côte de Bethune, abrasive wheel stripes the traditional way, a black polished center bridge anchoring the triple parachute springs, a balance in titanium and white gold that is Bethune's own, improving chronometry. You could see the quality of the bevel surrounding the balance itself. You can see that little stub bridge at the bottom has a lovely bevel. We have a solid rose gold nameplate, and then a hairspring curve that is patented by Bethune that is its own 4 hertz beat rate, 27 joules, and again, a 6-day power reserve. The watch wears quite easily. We'll throw it on the wrist. Of course, we'll cut this strap to suit, but it gives it a very summery vibe with titanium, a thin profile, and a bright orange strap. You got a watch that you could use all summer long for any occasion, in any attire, on almost any wrist. I could recommend this for a wrist as small as 14 centimeters circumference, and it really does wear well with just about everything. Now let's shoot for the moon. This is Blue Sky Imagination from Max Busser and his friends. In 2015, Max launched his most complicated watch yet, the MB&F legacy machine Perpetual. The most important friend in this case was Irish independent watchmaker and Wostep educated master Stephen McDonnell. He created here a perpetual calendar system on a watch that has twin barrels, manual wind, 72-hour power reserve, a split escapement with the actual escapement on the bottom, but the balance and most of the balance staff up on the top. We have this beautifully rounded and polished steel bridge, a balance that's 14 millimeters in diameter and free sprung for precise adjustment. We have a handmade overcoil hairspring for concentric breathing in every position, and then it has a nice slow pocket watch like 18,000 vibration per hour beat rate. The watch features a blocking mechanism so you cannot accidentally actuate the perpetual calendar pusher correctors during the danger zone of the watch, which is a wonderful and fascinating refinement. You can see it has a tremendously vaulted dial and sapphire with finishing that is the equal of anything in the industry. Girard, Perregaux, Grubel Forsey, de Bethune, this is as fine as all of it. And instead of using a conventional perpetual calendar system where you often have to advance through 48 months to get back to the beginning of the cycle, here every single indication of the calendar, including the leap year phase, can be corrected with a single dedicated pusher. Power reserve indicator with the reserve spring visible. You can see we have star wheels and springs for jumping the indication, and then we have a mechanical processor that's based on a 28-day month. Most perpetuals are based on a default 31-day month, and that mechanical processor is like a little mechanical computer that keeps the perpetual calendar running. This watch knows how to deal with irregular length months and leap years. On the back, we have finish at the highest degree. You can see here we have 1, 2, 3 finely defined interior angles, bridges that are broader and thicker than standard so that the bevels can be drawn exceptionally tall and wide, golden chaton cups for train jewels, solarization on the two barrels as well as the crown wheel core, lovely stripes, and then internally beveled wheels. That's something you will not see on even many Geneva Hallmark watches. To internally bevel wheels, remember you've got 5 spokes and 2 sides, you wind up with 40 interior angles, and look how broad these bevels are. That is true mirrored hand-finished anglage. Though it is a 44mm white gold watch, this one was sold in 2018, it's not super broad across the wrist. This is 50.1mm, which means it wears just fine on my wrist. In fact, if your wrist is my size or larger, game on. This is going to fit you well. Here again, we have that GMT Chatelet style double deployant leaf spring system you saw on the Deluxe strap just a moment ago, but with MB&F's unique double-sided battle axe logo, which you'll also find on the crown. And you can see that while the clasp itself is titanium, the buckle is white gold like the watch, so no corners cut. All right. Let's take a look at what I consider to be one of the best pre-owned watches you can buy. Partly because so few people know about it, but I'm spreading the word. Launched in 2009, which was the 30th anniversary of the original Piaget Polo. This is the Polo FortyFive flyback chronograph, and it is stacked, as the kids like to say. So it's a combination of a grade 5 titanium case that's 12.4mm thick, 45 wide, so it's long down the wrist like a millenary, but it's only about 50mm from lug to lug, so it wears well even on a smaller wrist. Now it's 100 meters water resistant, automatic winding, it's particularly well loomed, and not only does it have a chronograph here, maybe I need to wind this one up, but it has a chronograph and a second time zone. And so the chronograph function here is actually a flyback chronograph. Reset and restart without first stopping. It is a Piaget manufacturer caliber 880p automatic vertical clutch column wheel chrono. And by the way, the column wheel feel is excellent. Over on the 9 o'clock side, we have a second time zone with a dedicated pusher for correcting it, which is a wonderful feature more watches should include. Now, another thing that's important to remember is that this has hacking or stop seconds, and then it has a quick set system for the date. Screw down crown, again 100 meters water resistant. And on the reverse side, we have a clasp with 2 micro adjusts built in. So you've got 2 little opportunities to fine-tune the fit. Not only can you cut this to suit, but you have the ability to advance this in and then pull it right back out. With 2 of them, you can fine-tune the fit on the fly without having to recut the strap. And you can see with many pre-scored segments, you're going to find the right fit, and we're going to help you find that fit before we ship the watch. We're going to make sure this fits you. You can see that the stainless steel quadroons, a traditional Polo styling feature, they extend even across the strap, and the strap is held to the case using screws, which I love to see because it's more secure. The movement's nicely done. Handsomely decorated in a standard that I'd say is characteristic of what you'd find on, say, a JLC or an Audemars Piguet. It's got a blackened rotor in gold with the Piaget coat of arms. You can see the column wheel. There's also a vertical clutch, 50 hours of power reserve, and twin mainspring barrels in series. So it's a very good timekeeper. And don't be scared off by the 45mm case size. Remember, it's long down the wrist, but it's not particularly broad across the wrist. So this watch wears well on my wrist, and I think it would wear really well on yours. Being a Piaget, it's also thin enough to fit underneath the cuff. This is a really cool watch. Tons of features and versatility. It's a great candidate to be your only watch even. You got a GMT, swimmable, water resistance, thin enough to fit under a cuff and be your dress watch, a chronograph, and a date. It's also well loomed. This thing has everything you would want in a summer fun watch. IWC, back in 2021, launched this. Now you may say, I've seen Portuguese Tourbillon before, but have you seen them with a hacking flying tourbillon? That's right, this 1-minute tourbillon that can act as the seconds hand for the Portugieser, it actually features a hacking function. So if you want to synchronize this to a reference time and use some reference point on the tourbillon cage, you can absolutely do that. I don't know how well you can see, but it has a full silicon escapement that is coated with synthetic diamond, so it is super low friction, reduces the rotating mass of the tourbillon cage, operates without any lubrication. It is a significant technological step forward for IWC. This is what they call armor gold. Aside from a few very small marks, it's living up to its reputation. It's a 5N gold that's considered to be red, not pink, not rose, and it is harder and more resistant to marks than conventional gold. So a proprietary blend that is both very intense in color and also scratch resistant. On the back, the movement, built by IWC to fill this case back. You can see it is the 81905 manual wind. It has an 84-hour power reserve, chronometer-style 5-position adjustment. It's only 11.1 millimeters thick, 42.4 millimeters in diameter, has a full clasp. We'll throw this on my wrist so you get a good sense of it. The Portugieser from the beginning in 1939 was a purpose-built wristwatch designed to hold a pocket watch movement for the sake of accuracy. We now have, again, a pocket watch-sized manual caliber in a large dress wristwatch, and that has always been the look with IWC's Portugieser. A big watch, but since the beginning. Not an affectation born of the 2000s or the 2010s, but a practicality from the day when if you wanted the most accurate possible wristwatch, it needed to be sized to fit a pocket watch caliber. A very special watch. Here's another very special watch. Back in 2001, Ulysse Nardin launched the Freak, a breakthrough watch with a double escape wheel escapement made of silicon, the first use of silicon in a series production Swiss watch. It also featured a carousel tourbillon, effectively like a tourbillon. It has two different drivetrains, one to turn the carriage, one to run the escapement, which is why this carousel allows you to turn the bezel to set the watch. The movement and everything but the mainspring on the movement is on the minute hand. This is a baguette caliber, and so it's free sprung, you could see. It beats away at 28,800 vibrations per hour because this is the Freak 2, or the unofficial Freak 2, launched in 2005, and it's a little bit bigger than the original, 44.5 millimeters here in rose gold. It's only 12 millimeters thick. It maintains the previous conventions of setting the watch using the bezel, but it adds a new locking mechanism down at 6 o'clock, so you can't accidentally move the bezel when the watch is not actually being set. So you can see how the minute hand is also the movement. And then below that, we have a hour hand and then a sapphire with metallized numerals so you can tell the time. So people ask, what time is it? It's actually quite easy to say. Right now, it is 12:15. Push down that little lock, which is in white gold, and now I can't turn it. And of course, we still have the use of silicon, a breakthrough. Ulysse Nardin in 2006 would buy its silicon supplier Sigitech, making it the smallest company in Switzerland with proprietary access to silicon technology. The finishing of the movement is outstanding, but the other signature element of the Freak has always been the case back, which is used to wind the watch. So you can see the Ulysse Nardin anchor and wave and blue motifs, all reminding you that Ulysse Nardin made its name historically in the manufacture of marine chronometers or deck clocks. You wind by turning the case back, and this one element was actually borrowed from Carol Forestier-Casapi's award-winning concept in the 90s for a watch that had a movement in the center and then a mainspring wrapped around the outside. And so this is the production adaptation of that idea, in addition to many, many others. You can also see why up until the Freak Cruiser, no Freak was water resistant, because the upper pivot of the carousel actually pivots in the sapphire itself. We'll throw the watch on my wrist again because it is very thin. It wears low, and it is a dress watch, though. It's kind of a raffish, irreverent dress watch aesthetic, and you can absolutely wear this casually. A man with panache will do so. You can also see there's a number plate held by blued screws, another nod to Ulysse Nardin's marine chronometers here. That is a very special watch, a landmark piece, one of the most important of the modern era. Now, normally, I probably wouldn't end on a watch that has only two hands and is designed for women, but this is so special that it gets pride of place as the ultimate watch in our progression. This is from Vacheron Constantin. It is the Traditionnelle 33158. Retailed in 2017, this is a little giant in white gold, 30 millimeters in diameter, only 5.8 millimeters thick. And this is one for the ladies, featuring a movement originally designed by JLC in the early 50s for the use of Vacheron and AP. AP introduced this movement in 1953. Vacheron introduced it in 1955 on the occasion of its 200th anniversary. So this is Vacheron caliber 1003/3, JLC based, but Vacheron built, regulated, and finished. It is a 31-hour manual wind power reserve, so you're going to want to enjoy winding it daily. You could see that it's only 1.65 millimeters thick and 21.1 millimeters in diameter. Fully skeletonized, engraved with bevels on the edge of every bridge, as well as the interiors of every hollowed out bridge. No two will be exactly alike because of the hand skeletonization and engraving. You could see the Geneva seal on both movement and case. It applies to both of them. The ratchet wheel has been satinated, skeletonized, internally beveled, and so has the barrel, which has been engraved and skeletonized with the VC Maltese Cross logo on its cap. Note the lettering Vacheron Constantin, freehand engraved. And surprise, surprise, it has been adjusted in 5 positions, which is the chronometer and high horology standard, so they have not cut any corners here, delivering the same quality of timekeeping you would expect on a conventional watch, despite the fact that this is an ultra-thin skeleton watch. Now, I will demonstrate just how small this watch really is and why I do think this is a ladies' watch and not unisex. But what a masterpiece of a movement. Vacheron, JLC, skeletonization, and engraving. All of this demonstrating that Vacheron is much, much, much more than just the overseas collection. If you love what you see here, reach out to us, tmosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.